Rust and Gulag Gang were at war. The reason they have been at war is because Rust has been, among other crews, doing gold panning in the sewers. We caught a bunch of Rust members during this entire thing when they were fighting Gulag Gang. This was yesterday. Mayor Mickey yesterday evening. And I'm giving you guys more information because we don't know if it's related yet, so I'd rather share it, and then we'll see, you know, down the line if there is like a relationship. Because a smart investigator, number one, when it comes to this investigation, assume anyone that is not actively involved in investigations is talking out of their ass. Whether that's a criminal or a cop that doesn't do investigations. Because I can promise you, you can count on your hands who actually investigates on the server, right? So unless it's coming from like a veteran judge or a veteran investigator, don't take anyone else's word as to what probable cause is, what the burden of proof is for a warrant, how investigations should be done, because I promise you it's going to make you stupid. It's historically been the case where, like, you know, people comment on shit and they don't actually know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, so that happened yesterday. Mayor Mickey approached Knight and he was like, yo, fucking Rust Gulag Gang. I want to make Gulag Gang into like the poop squad or some shit like that. And he wants us to give them weapons so they can stop Rust from gold penning, amongst other groups. But he specifically said that. Brian's like, bruh, I can't authorize that. And even if I told you it was a good idea, I can only control the officers that are immediately around me. You need buy-in from Toretti, Pred, and Bass, because like if you really want to do it, they got to make that call and it has to be unified. Otherwise, like, you know, you can't expect like random officer sees a shootout, reacts to it, and then we're like, guys, pause. They're allowed to be gang warring. It didn't make any sense. But anyways, you fast forward, and this morning what had happened was, two members of Gulag Gang jumped Rust. As it turns out, Rust was in the middle of a weapon deal. The reason we know that is because these members of Rust said it out loud on the ground. And so, and we found like, I don't know, like 6, 7, 8 Gorozas. So they stated that plus the weapons. Now all of a sudden that's probable cause enough to, you know, push for it. Now a chain raid occurred, and in said chain raid, Ashton Perez, LaFleur Davis, and Milo Graves were raided. Subsequently, while this was occurring, a connection was made with Alston Solbecken, as Milo had keys to Alston's properties. It also turned out, and the PC for the raid on that was because Alston has a Class 2 firearms license. He was issued a civilian Class 2 months ago, and there is no sign of him actually giving the broken weapon back to the police department. OOC, I think the law is kind of broken, because what if Alston doesn't even play on the server anymore, and he's a character like a lot of criminals have? A lot of people don't realize this. There's warehouses and properties and businesses under dead people's names. So like this guy may have bought a warehouse and he never wakes up anymore, so maybe never had the opportunity. So I OOC think that legislation is kind of shit, but nonetheless, you got to work with the legislation that's there, right? But regardless, he was raided. I mean, the law is the law, right? At the end of the day. So anyways, he was raided, and inside was found a shit, like so many weapons and drugs. Now, among the things that were found in the raid was an AWM that comes back from when Michael Simone sniped Bundy. As we were at the Trooper PD discussing some of the... Oh, one other thing is that during the weapons transaction, blood was found of Chico Guzman, who's a member of Seaside. And that's also huge. The reason is as follows. Seaside, with Benji Ramos being at the top, has been for a long time suspected as being one of the primary suspects. We believe he has a weapons bench. We've believed this for a very long time. And this is through a lot of the investigation back in like January. However, Seaside and Benji, out of literally every other criminal group in the city, are exceptionally good at what they do. Because while we have suspicions and while we have circumstantial evidence of him having a weapons bench, while we have an idea as to what weapons they have relatively dealt with, we have never caught them in a situation that gives us more or enough to actually push for something big. So I want to underline that because there is a lot of, 2 IQ individuals that have in the past during the Simone investigation cried about how, oh my God, no one ever looks at Seaside. You guys only look into Chang Gang and the Cleanbois and Rust and oh my God, my gang, my favorite streamer. It's mostly a bunch of retards that actually watch 2 clips and then make a bunch of assumptions. The reality of the matter is Seaside has been very clean. It doesn't matter if they shoot cops. Doesn't matter if they're found with X, Y, and Z. The reality of the matter is that just because you have a suspicion and there's a lot of let's say damning evidence to create a theory, there isn't something that pinpoints, number one, where the bench is, number two, where they may be holding these things. We have no financial, and by the way, they have been subpoenaed and shit. There's no, there's no real linchpin. However, today, oh yeah, by the way, one other thing. Also, those guys are in shift 3. No one's gonna I'm not fucking waking up early just for a roleplay server. You gotta be on some fucking crack. TLDR, people are retarded. Nonetheless, today's weapon deal is actually a really big breakthrough. Specifically because it's we've got Chico's blood on the scene, and we suspect that Ash and Benji were on scene of that. While in discussion of the Seaside connection down at the Trooper PD, Winston Walker received a phone call from a text message from Michael Simone saying to call a number. We believed it was a phone-activated time bomb. We go outside, explosion happens, it's Simone. So Simone knows. Now, how does Simone know? Well, there's a number of reasons. One, if Gulag Gang knew as much details as they did, you gotta expect that everybody else has details of what they did. However, the other big kicker here and the more likely scenario is that members of Seaside know that the weapons deal that they did resulted in police conducting a series of raids. Yo. Well, you disappeared after the meeting.
Huh?
So TLDR, I'm asking if we can use your facilities. We're being targeted by bombs, etc., etc. This is probably the safest place in the city.
Oh, it's easily the safest place.
Hey, Benjamin.
Now, in terms of like how we're going to approach this, you have to fundamentally understand the following, right? Pushing drug trafficking and weapons trafficking is not easy. In fact, the police department tends to lose a lot of their cases. And the reason a lot of cases are lost, and this is just me being frank, is this is a role play server. People want to play their characters. People want to have their fun, whether it's a criminal or whether it's a cop. A lot of viewers, and I'm just going to say it straight up, are fucking retarded. I don't mind using that word, by the way. Call a spade a spade. I don't have time to break down like how their brain functions. But like, whether it's like over-invested, like, I mean, listen, it's self-inflicted retardation. Jesus fucking Christ. Night.
Underwood.
Oh, hey, we're back at the FIB building.
Oh shit, okay. I'm just picking up Snow and Angel. I'll be there.
Hell yeah, see you in a bit.
Okay, bye-bye.
Reality is like people are on here to have fun. When you do investigations, it requires a whole lot of documentation and a whole lot of work. In fact, more often than not, whether you're raiding one person or another person or this gang or that gang, a lot of people will go, oh my God, but there wasn't probable cause. They're like, oh my God, this. No, most of the time it's like retarded statements. Because most people don't actually investigate. Most people have never had experience. Most people play a fucking criminal. They don't even know what fucking probable cause is in the first place. I mean, members of the PD have problems, you know, articulating what probable cause is. You know, could you imagine a criminal be able to say it? Like, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Likewise, the same can be said about, you know, viewers that tend to comment on investigations. Why this, why not that? When the reality of the matter is most people are going off of like one or two clips or some, you know, false information by another, you know, whether it's like YouTube comments or whether it's like, you know, Reddit, or whether it's like a criminal says something in character and they take it as like gospel. You get what I'm saying? So fundamentally what I'm trying to point out here is that investigations are a lot more complex than most people, you know, break it down to. So, you know, all criminals have law degrees though. Yeah. I mean, there's lawyers in the city that don't even understand probable cause. You also have to understand that PC and what do you call it? Burden of proof, and the bar of burden of proof is different on the server than it is in real life. So let's throw that on, you know, let's put that out there real quick. And also the other thing to keep in mind, like, despite everything, like, you know, argue one thing, but one thing that people tend to forget is when I mean, shit, boys, a lot of us people have stopped investigating because, like, some viewers, I mean, Reed got a bunch of weird emails. Keep that in mind. You know, criminals may spend some time in jail. We get death threats over investigations that don't even lead into charges. Keep that in mind, right? You know, when we talk about like cops and like, oh my God, they sent in a warrant and that shouldn't have went in, or like, you know, number one, they probably don't know what the fuck they're talking about when they make the statement. And oh my God, the cop's not getting punished. Motherfucker, like, cops who are investigating are getting literal death threats on Discord and shit. You know what I mean? And just keep that in mind, you know? Yeah. So the reason I'm bringing it up now is because, you know, I'm sure it'll eventually get spicy. And I want to be clear, it's no fault of any player on the server, quite frankly. People are allowed to have emotions, and I want to make that clear too. Like, if a character, even the streamer who plays it, and they get raided and they think it's unjustified, let them have their fucking human outburst, man. Like, even I get pissed off, right? But, you know, unfortunately, too many people, viewers, like I said, low brain cells, overly invested, to the point that, you know, what the fuck? End up using that as an excuse to harass other humans.